Picture a single container ship sliding through a strait so narrow you could almost throw a stone from one country to another. On one side, a nation with drones. On the other, a war that's already sunk ships. And that captain, he has no choice but to sail through it anyway. This is the reality of global trade right now, and almost nobody watching this video has noticed it happening. For 70 years, there's been an invisible rule holding the world together, not a law written in some UN building. Older than that. It's called freedom of the seas, the idea that any ship from any nation can cross open water without getting shot at. It's why your coffee gets to you, why gas stations don't run dry, why factories on one continent can feed shopping carts on another. That rule is now cracking, not in one place, in three at the same time. Start with the Strait of Hormuz. It's absurdly narrow, barely 20 miles wide at its tightest point, and roughly a fifth of the entire world's oil sails through it. Military tension here isn't hypothetical anymore. It's live. Vessels are being tracked, threatened, sometimes seized. And every captain approaching that strait knows one thing. This is the most watched, most dangerous choke point on Earth. Now slide west to the Red Sea. This used to be one of the calmest shipping lanes on the planet, a shortcut that saved weeks of travel time. Not anymore. Drone attacks and missile strikes have turned it into a gauntlet. Some of the world's biggest shipping companies have quietly made a decision that would have sounded insane 2 years ago. They're avoiding it entirely, sailing around the bottom of Africa instead, adding thousands of miles, adding weeks, just to avoid a stretch of water that used to be routine. Then there's the Black Sea, where the war in Ukraine has turned commercial shipping lanes into military targets. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Those strikes aren't staying contained. Ukrainian attacks have now reached vessels in the Caspian Sea, a body of water most people couldn't even point to on a map. Which means a war that started on land over territory is now reaching into shipping lanes hundreds of miles away. 3 separate conflicts, 3 separate regions, and they're starting to touch. Insurers have a term for this kind of moment when everything starts colliding at once. They call it a furball. Multiple threats overlapping with no clean edges between them, and furballs are expensive. Here's where it gets real for you, even if you've never set foot on a cargo ship. War risk insurance, the premium a shipowner pays just to sail through a dangerous zone, has spiked dramatically in these regions. Charter rates, the cost to rent a vessel, have surged right alongside it. And every extra dollar an owner pays to protect a ship from missiles or drones doesn't just disappear. It rides along in the cargo. It shows up, months later, in a price tag you don't think twice about. That's the quiet part nobody puts in the headlines. Geopolitics doesn't stay overseas. It ends up in your grocery bill. And yet here's the twist that should genuinely surprise you: the ships keep sailing. Global trade hasn't collapsed. It's bent, rerouted, absorbed enormous risk and kept moving. That resilience is remarkable. But resilience isn't the same as safety. It's not a guarantee. It's a system straining under weight it was never built to carry. Because freedom of the seas was never actually free. It required navies patrolling. It required nations agreeing, even quietly, not to touch commercial ships. The moment that agreement erodes in Hormuz, in the Red Sea, in the Black Sea, in the Caspian, the whole architecture of global trade has to adapt in real time or start breaking. So here's the real question worth sitting with. We've built an entire modern world, your phone, your food, your fuel, on the assumption that ships can cross open water safely. What happens to that world when the water itself stops being safe?